coming out to play, which takes readers through his personal journey from closeted soccer player to out and proud sports star. And we're delighted now to have Robbie join us in studio today. Thank you so much for being here.
Of course, thanks for having me.
And congratulations on the game on Sunday. That was quite a nail biter. How did it feel to finally seal the deal?
It's been such a long season, and so many ups and downs, not just on the field but off the field as well. So to end it that way was obviously amazing, and to send Landon off as a champion, and just to accomplish that with the team was really great.
Yeah, that's right. Landon Donovan, who's a longtime LA Galaxy player, also played for the national team, announced that he will be retiring. And what can you tell us about Landon? What it's been like to play with him?
I hope I'm not wrong, but I can tell you that he's done. That he's accomplished so much, and I think he is ready, for the next adventure in his life. But as a person, as a player, he's just absolutely remarkable. He's such a good guy, and has done so much for U.S. soccer, and so much for me. So, I'm really grateful.
Yeah, I mean, as we talk about this entire process of you being a professional athlete coming out, was Landon someone, or your other teammates, were they really supportive in this, and what role did they play?
The teammates, very supportive, especially when I came back in the locker room. After I came out, I got messages from people all around the world that I've either played with or just supporters. And then Landon, actually, he was one of the guys that I reached out to when I was deciding to come back. We played on the national team together and played against each other, so we were friends. And I just said, I'm really worried. I'm scared to be back into the locker room, and what do you think it's going to be like? So he's like, let's go grab a coffee and we'll talk about it. So just went and met him in Manhattan Beach and talked about everything. And he was just like, we've got a great group of guys. I think you'll be fine. So he helped me get back into it.
And he was right?
And he was right, yes.
And Manhattan Beach is an amazing. I went to high school in Manhattan Beach, so it made me happy to hear you just say that.
Yeah, I'm from Palos Verdes originally, so really close.
There we go. All right, we got some South Bay pride.
Yeah.
So you chose to come out 2 years ago, and this was something that you did publicly, and you posted it online. Why did you choose to go about it in that fashion?
Well, first I came out just my family and friends, and that was about 3 or 4 months before I came out publicly. I don't necessarily know. I just felt like I wasn't completely out, and people were asking me questions like, what are you gonna do next? Where are you gonna play? And different questions. And I just felt like, I wrote that letter that I posted about 2 months before I posted it. And I just felt like, I just want to get all this weight off my shoulders and just, start fresh. And that's exactly how it made me feel. It was an absolutely amazing feeling. And it was a way for me to do it. It was a way for me. I could have let people find out organically, but I wanted to kind of just say it and get it out there.
Be in control
of
the message and the way that it gets out there. Well, you wrote in that post too that secrets can cause so much internal damage.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you went through that? Did you?
Yeah, I went through as much as I would have physical pain, like a cramping feeling. So it consumed my life. It consumed how my relationships were going. It consumed it affected how I played on the field, and my happiness, and just going to work every day. So I got to the point where I was like, all right, I need to either come out and maybe stop because I feel like I have to stop from what I've heard in locker rooms, or I need to change something. So that's why I took the step that I did.
So you thought you can't be gay and play professional soccer?
Yeah, I was dead set that wasn't possible.
And why is that? Is that just because you didn't have any other? Because there weren't any other professional soccer players who were out?
That's definitely a reason.
Had that just been ingrained in your mind by whom?
That's a reason. I would be in locker rooms and guys would have discussions like, maybe I'd be riding the bike over there and they'd be sitting here and be like, how could someone even be gay? Like, how could someone go through the act of that? How could a guy love another man? And I'd be over there thinking oh gosh, I'm definitely never coming out while I'm in a locker room, while I'm in the sports world. But then I realized those were the same guys that, sent me messages and called me and encouraged me to come back. So from this experience, I learned that, they're not necessarily homophobic, but it's like that weird pack mentality in the sports world that sometimes guys say things that they don't mean, but they're just insensitive to other people around them.
And has that changed? Do you still hear homophobic slurs?
Oh no, now
on the field or in the locker room?
It's very different. It's very different. I think when you have that experience with someone that's close to you, it changes very quickly. Now we are in a locker room, and obviously we're showering together and doing things together, and guys will be like, so Robbie, what's going on with your relationship? You're dating, what's going on with marriage equality stuff around the United States, and just normal things so that we can share. So. It's like the exact opposite of what it was like before.
So they get political. You're the go-to for the gay, gay rights updates, right?
All that stuff, and they've never had a gay teammate. I'm the first, obviously. So, we talk about a lot of different things, and they're like, oh, what's it like, you live in West Hollywood and going out to those places. I was like, I've just started going out. I came out when I was 25 and going on my first dates, and a lot of them were really intrigued about, like, you're 25 and you're on your first dates. Like, how awkward is that? That's what you're supposed to do when you're in high school, or maybe even younger than that. So they're like, oh, that must have been hilarious. Like, I wish someone followed you with a camera.
How awkward is that?
Oh, it is. It's like, who pays and all this stuff, who takes who out, it's two men. And I know it sounds ridiculous, but to me, I was like.
That's a really good point. What's the
super
rule there?
nervous.
I've never even thought of it in those terms.
I just went with it, and and I would just tell you, I'm sorry. Like, this is, I'm 25, I'm just dating and kind of learning how I go, or as I go. So, it was tough, and it is still tough, but I think I'm learning quickly, and I really enjoyed myself.
And you've had heterosexual relationships too before you came out, and in fact, wasn't it the last woman that you did try to have a relationship with that tried to convince you to come to terms with, or at least acknowledge?
It made me realize, she was amazing and beautiful and smart, and we're still good friends, but it was more than I realized. Like, this is just, I thought when I was younger that I would meet some girl and that she would, like, change me somehow, which is crazy, I know, but that's what I thought. But I realized that she's such an amazing person, beautiful, and this is not fair for her or for me, and I need to make a change. So, yeah, it was kind of towards, I was 24, 25, and I was like, all right, I need to do something.
Well, I mean, it's not crazy if you think about what you are brought up with and what you are told. And you come from a very Catholic family.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, religion played a really big role there. You write about in the book, too, just hearing your mom make certain remarks, Elton John coming on the radio and saying that she loves that song, but it's too bad that he's gay.
Yeah.
These things impact you, especially when you hear them at a young age.
They definitely do, and they scar you, and you build so much fear up. But I meant more, maybe not crazy, but it's sad when I look back at that stuff, and even sad when after we're done with the book and rereading it and writing it and looking at the letters that I sent my family. I'm like, oh, I can't believe I thought this way, But it's built character, and it's made me who I am today. So I don't regret any of it.
I have a question here coming up for you from some of our viewers. This one is from Christian. It says, hey, Robbie, you've been a huge inspiration. And my question is, do you think that being in the closet somehow affected your performance in soccer? Yeah,
I think so. So soccer was kind of where I could hide and be on the field and be successful. But there were times where I really didn't enjoy it. And I didn't enjoy going to training and being around my team because I was afraid that they would find out I was gay. So I think when you don't enjoy something, obviously you're not performing at your best ability, and that definitely affected me when I was younger. And now I enjoy being in the weight room and traveling and all that stuff. So it definitely did affect my performance.
And at the same time, being an athlete, you talk about. I think that for so many teenagers, realizing what their sexual orientation is and having to, it's tough enough to have to go through high school as a teenager in general, right? Doesn't matter what it is and who you like and who you love. But you write that, you think sports maybe helped you kind of shield that for a while, right?
It did,
because it was so good.
Yeah, and there's, the stereotype of, a good athlete, he must be, have girlfriends and all that stuff. So me being good in sports was kind of like a shield from all that stuff, and I was so busy as well playing sports and traveling around playing for the national team when I was younger. So it did shield, me from a lot of things, but not in a healthy way. Yeah.
Here's another comment from one of our viewers. Billy Howard says, there's a lot of dark time and suffering in your powerful book. Thank you so much for telling your inspiring story. Do you think it's all behind you now, or are there still some shadows lurking about? What are the challenges ahead for someone as accomplished as you?
Yeah, I mean, when you live closeted for 25 years and you're not in touch with all that stuff and sharing all those things with people, there's a lot to work through. So, last year, even though I came out and was playing and doing all that stuff, it was still really difficult for me because, and I've written before, I didn't want to be really the spokesperson, and I didn't feel like I was that person. And it wasn't until this year that I kind of was like, I'm a soccer player. I happen to be gay, yes, and I can do some great things, especially for the LGBT youth. So I kind of grasped that, but it's a learning process for me, and I'm a human. I'm not perfect, and I'm sure I'll make mistakes. What was the second part of his question? How does it become a role model? Oh no, that's another question.
That's coming up next. Well, why don't we just skip to that question?
Sorry.
This one comes from Jake, and he says, "Congratulations on the success." You're not supposed to be peeking over at my laptop here. I'm just kidding. Of your book and for winning the MLS Cup. I loved your book, and I've already read it twice. Very inspirational. Do you get recognized a lot when you're out in public, and how does it feel to be called a role model and a trailblazer for the LGBT youth?
I'm always a little uncomfortable with being called a role model, or I think because initially I did this for my happiness and in a very selfish way. I just wanted to be kind of free from that secret. So, of course I'm happy that I was used this way and that I can help people, but I don't know, I just, for whatever reason, that word just kind of, not necessarily scares me, but I just feel a little uncomfortable with it. Do I get recognized? I guess it just depends where I am. If I'm in like New York or West Hollywood or areas like that, yes, but not in like, middle of nowhere, United States, but sometimes.
All right, we have some other fans that are joining us live right now that want to ask you a few questions.
Great.
And so I first want to bring in Ian Thiessen in College Park, Maryland. Hi,
Oh, wow.
Ian. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, thanks for having me.
What's going on, Ethan? College Park, sorry. How was it?
It's going good.
Go ahead, Ethan. I know you have some questions for Robbie. Or Ian,
Okay.
excuse me. I'm sorry, Ian.
Yeah. As someone who is closeted while playing youth soccer for the last 14 years, I understand how difficult being gay in a sports environment is, and can only imagine how exponentially more difficult it is at the collegiate and professional level. Was there anyone who you confided in and or helped you along with your acceptance and coming out process?
No, that was a big problem for me. I didn't speak to anyone, and if I were to change anything now or give any kind of advice to anyone that's going through that, it was just to find someone that you can talk to, someone away from your team and your family that you can trust, that you can just kind of share those feelings with, because to keep that in for so long, I think is really unhealthy. So, I wish I would have, to be honest, I wish I would have spoken with someone.
Well, in fact, the first person that you came out to was a complete stranger, right?
Yeah.
Tell us about that story.
So I was living in London at the time, and went out with some friends, some of their mutual friends and different people, and we just went to get a drink. And this girl, she had a few gay friends, and we went outside. I think we were like leaving or something, and she's just like, I think she wanted to like get a drink with me after or something. I'm not quite sure. And she's like, "Are you straight or gay?" And I'm like, "I'm gay." And I just said it, and I was just like, "Whoa, I just said this." And I had been thinking about it a lot, but I think that I just was so sick of like lying, and I wanted to like get the ball moving. So then I said it, and I was like, "Oh my gosh!" Like, it felt so great to say that. And she was just like, "Oh, okay." Some of my friends, they're interested in you. Or I forgot what she said, but I was like, "All right, like that was easy." And it felt so amazing, and I'm sure she didn't realize,
She didn't know that this
she didn't
the
know.
first
She
time
probably
you
thought
just dropped that
Yes,
knowledge
exactly.
on someone, right?
Exactly. So I think it was like a month later that I told my family.
All right, Ian, I know you got more questions too. Keep going.
Okay, coming out is one of the most difficult processes for people in the LGBT community. What was the hardest part of your coming out process? And was it harder to come out to your family, friends, or the public?
The hardest part was coming out to my family, coming out to my parents, I think. Again, I'm from a very conservative Catholic family, and I just was so afraid. If I lost soccer or if I lost other friends, I would get on with life and I would figure out what else I wanted to do. But my family is so important to me. So when I was coming out to my mom and my siblings, my dad, I was so afraid that they would, somehow treat me differently or not accept me. And that was definitely, the hardest part, which really scared me, because it's, you have one family.
And do you still consider yourself a devout Catholic?
No, I'm still a religious person. I have faith. I don't even like label myself as any kind of religion. I think I've been used in some way. I think there's a purpose for all this. But no, I'm not a Catholic. Right?
And do you feel, you talk about how in Catholicism, in church in particular, you felt like homosexuality was the sin that was elevated almost above all others.
Yeah, I know.
How many other gay women have you spoken to that really felt like because of teachings of a church, right, or somewhere that they had to go to every Sunday when they were growing up with their family, that it damaged them?
Yeah, quite a few, and even now people that have read the book have mentioned that to me, which is so sad because I just feel like, religion in general, I think, is supposed to be about love and acceptance and, loving your neighbor. But it's, in some places, become so much about hating other people. So, obviously very difficult for me, very difficult for a lot of people in the LGBT youth or in the LGBT community. So that was really, really difficult. And it's weird. What really scared, religion was one of the things that really scared me, in being a gay man. But then when I came to terms and felt like, this is who I am, this is how I was created, it kind of helped me to move forward.
All right, Ian, do you have one more?
This one's a soccer-related question.
Okay.
You're just coming off your second MLS Cup win, this one with the LA Galaxy, the other with the Columbus Crew in 2008. Which victory meant more to you and why?
They're very different. Both teams were amazing, and I loved sharing those experiences. But this one just meant a little bit more to me, just because I'm a completely different person, and I'm in touch with all those emotions and those feelings, and I could celebrate with my family and my teammates, as me, as myself, as the real Robbie, I guess. That sounds cheesy, but I could just really enjoy the moment. So. It's been a tough journey the past few years, and now, to finish this year off with a championship with the LA Galaxy, it couldn't have ended a better way. And so, I'm just really grateful for the Galaxy and for all my teammates.
I've got a question here from Brody Z. She says, "Hey, Robbie, great job winning the MLS Cup. Is there a chance that we'll see you play on the men's national team again?"
That's a good question. I don't know. It would be amazing, of course, to get back to the national team. I've played a few games with them and scored a few goals, and played for Bob Bradley and for Jurgen. But I'm not sure. It's not my decision. And to be honest, I just really want to focus on the Galaxy right now. I think we've had a great season this year, but we have such a good team. I don't see why we can't continue that success. So I'll just focus on that. And if that goes well, I think naturally, hopefully, I'll get called back up.
I feel like we're always talking about when soccer or football, as the rest of the world knows it, is going to become the popular sport that it, I think, deserves to be in this country.
Yeah.
Have you noticed a change? I mean, we just saw the World
crazy.
Cup this year, and
It's
every bar in town was filled.
Yeah, and in the Northwest, perfect examples like Seattle and Portland. Every time I've played in Seattle, there's been about 55,000 fans a game, and Portland's always sold out. And there's going to be a new team here in New York with the Yankees and Etihad, and the new team in LA, and it's really growing. And I think the average attendance, it's more than NHL and NBA, and so it's really, really growing. And I think as a younger generation is going to games and they have kids, I think it will get bigger and bigger. So I've been a professional for 8 or 9 years now, and it's insane the amount of growth. And now the sponsors and different players coming over here, and it's going to be one of the top sports in the United States. It's just a matter of when.
And then we'll get to the point where no matter where you go, you will be recognized, not just in in certain cities or in West Hollywood.
I look forward to that.
Ian, by the way, thank you for your wonderful questions.
Thanks, Ian.
And we have someone else who would like to ask you a few questions now, too. This is Mike Gray. He's a staff writer for LAG Confidential. So hello, Mike. Thanks for joining us.
Hello, Mike.
Hey, Robbie. Congratulations on winning MLS
Thank
Cup and on the success of your book. So,
Thanks,
I gotta say I haven't read I haven't posted the review yet, but I gotta say I love the book. As both a soccer player who's performed at a high level and also someone who considers themselves to be a progressive person, I was fascinated at just how difficult it was for you to overcome all the challenges you had to face to succeed. Not only just with coming out of the closet, but you also had club problems, injury concerns, etc. So. One interesting aspect of the book is your transformation from, a young man who, you're trying to, as you describe in the book, you're trying to almost suppress your sexuality, and towards where you get to the end of the book, where you're just starting to get used to living life as an openly gay man. So, I guess my first question is, from the end of the book until maybe today, have you progressed at all in terms of just being more comfortable as a person? And you're referencing being able to go out on dates and trying to figure out how to act and all that. So
I would say last year I was out and playing, but I wasn't necessarily that happy with everything. I would go to training and then I'd have interviews after about how is it being the gay man in sports, and what would you say to little Tommy in Thailand that wants to come out. And I was like, I'm just in my first relationship, and I don't have the answer for these people. I'm not the person to be giving advice. I didn't feel like I was that role model, and I wanted to play soccer. Obviously I went back to soccer to help people, but I just didn't know, what that meant. So it took me about a year to figure out all that stuff and to focus to like find out what I wanted to focus on, and it was after last season that I was like, all right, I need to say no to a lot of things. I need to focus on my sport, and I'll pick little organizations here and there, and I'll just kind of pull back a little bit, and I think that would have a larger impact. So of course I'm still involved with like GLSEN and different organizations and go to events, and I wrote the book, and I just felt like last year, and this was like when I was done with the book, I was still very much struggling with like, this is just like too much, and I just felt kind of the weight of, having to be one of the only out gay athletes.
Well, you want to be known as a soccer player,
yeah.
right? And not
yeah,
as
or
the
soccer
gay
player.
Soccer
How about
player.
just a good person, just basic. So it was tough for me last year because I was known as a gay soccer player, and regardless if my performances were good or bad, it was always like, well, he's the only out gay athlete. So I think it's changed a bit this year, and a lot of the press I did with the Galaxy was more geared to the success that we're having on the field. And I understand the importance of being on a team and being a champion and being the only out gay athlete, but I just felt like we were doing so much more than that.
I have another comment here. This one's from Ryan Buxton, because I mean, that said, there is something to be said for being a role model. Right?
Yeah, I
you want
understand.
everyone to, anyone who is an athlete, anyone who's anyone, to be comfortable in their own skin. Ryan Buxton says, Robbie, it's so great to see someone be this happy being his authentic self. Have you ever had conversations with other athletes who want to come out too and have come to you for advice?
I have for younger athletes, guys in college, high school, even younger than that.
Not pro though.
No pro. Well, I mean, Jason was out already, but we talk about stuff and we talk.
Jason, you mean Jason Collins?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, we talk about what's going on in the locker rooms and stuff like that. But no professional athletes. So that's always been a little weird to me. I've like received like anonymous letters from people and stuff like that, and it's hard to respond to those because it's hard to help someone when you don't know their situation. But to the younger athletes, that's been really rewarding to hear from them and to hear from them how I've helped them and what they're up to and the steps that they've taken much earlier than I did, like in high school or college. And who knows, they might become professional. But that kind of stuff I actually would love to hear.
Are you surprised? I mean, despite people like yourself,
I'm always
like Jason
surprised.
Collins, like Michael Sam, that it seems like the tide is turning, and yet it's still, you guys are a rarity.
I know. I'm very surprised. I thought after that ball started to move that there would be more, and they would see that these guys, it's not that bad. It's actually pretty easy, and people are embracing them. So I'm surprised, and I'm a little frustrated. Of course. I think everyone has their own coming out, and I would never try to push anyone to do that. But I don't know. I see what it's like on the other side, and I've now won championships here, and I've had success in other things, and so I just would hope that other people would see that and want to do the same.
I want to talk about the World Cup for a moment, too, because we have a World Cup coming up in Russia, then we've got a World Cup coming up in Qatar, and it's become so political for a myriad of reasons. If you look at Qatar, so many people are looking at human rights abuses there right now, but neither one of these countries, Qatar nor Russia, are very gay friendly. No. Of course, in one it's actually just banned. In another, you could just say people are more discriminatory. But do you think that things like that need to be taken into consideration when you choose a venue?
I don't understand what FIFA is thinking by doing things like that. And I think there's a larger issue with FIFA. I think there are insensitivities to people in general. I mean, the Women's World Cup is going to be on turf in Canada. There would be no way that they would put a Men's World Cup on turf. So, I mean, it's just like sexism, racism, homophobia. This is an organization that's running the world the soccer federation that's running the, soccer for the world, or football, and it's just insane to me that they would put a tournament somewhere where someone would be in danger, that their life would be in danger. And then again, we go back to there's other issues that they need to deal with, and racism is a huge, problem in football, sexism obviously. So, I've been very disappointed with FIFA, and I've always looked forward to the World Cup. And growing up, like when the World Cup comes, like you're just not going to hear from me. I'm watching every game and super excited. But then it gets to the point now, it's like, well, I don't want to support, FIFA because of what they're doing, and why aren't they more sensitive to tons of different people? It's sad, and I think about money.
And so what are fans to do, though, right? I mean, that's the thing. And
what are
players
to
do?
Yeah.
Because you don't want to support FIFA, but you love the sport.
Yeah, of course. It's so difficult. And someone asked me, about like the Olympics in Russia, and like if I would want to go, and all that stuff. And I said to them, from my experience being back in soccer before I came out was for me very homophobic, but now being back in it and present and people see me, it's at least in our locker room and in our league, I know in our league it's changed so much. So it's like you still want to be present and you want to be that activist and that symbol for the LGBT community. So for me to boycott or not to participate is not going to change anything, But I still think when you have an opportunity like this to talk about it, I think it's really important. But I'm not an expert on this kind of stuff. I don't know what the best thing to do is, but I just know if I had a chance, I would love to speak with FIFA. I would love to.
All right.
But,
we want to make that happen somehow. Let's try
get
to
FIFA on
this.
Huffington Post Live.
Yeah, that's the plan. Next time, you and somebody from
Set Blatter
FIFA
can sit right here.
Yeah, right there on the couch. All right, Robbie, thank you so much for joining us
Thanks
today.
for
It's
having me.
been a pleasure, and and wonderful to see you open up this way.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
All right, guys, don't forget to check out Robbie's new book, Coming Out to Play. For more information on it, you can see the links in our resource well below. And stick around, there's much more coming up on Huff Post Live.